All right, we're live here on the last day of BTC 2025 in beautiful Las Vegas. It's a cool 100 degrees outside right now. For people like me, bigger guy, it's tough weather to be in. But I'm here with Charley Brady. Charley and I were just talking a little previous life. We did some mining, but nothing, I don't think, on the scale of what they're doing. Tell us a little about BitFuFu, what you're doing. Latest is going on.
Yeah, so we've end of April, we've got 566 megawatts, 28.3 exahash on 5 continents. We're a self miner, and we also do offer cloud mining. And when I say cloud mining, what I mean is we lease out our hash rate to customers, retail and institutional. Majority of that revenue is institutional revenue, but we basically take on the cloud side. What's unique about BitFuFu is we have the ability to take our hash rate and slide the allocation between self-mining and cloud mining and dynamically, essentially in real time. And what that does for us, it allows kind of financial tools to manage the cash flows of the company. Obviously, when we sell that hash rate or lease the hash rate out, we're getting paid upfront for that cash. So the cash flow is very positive. And we're also self-mining to build up the amount of Bitcoin on the balance sheet. So end of April, we had 1,908 BTC on the balance sheet. And our strategy is model as much as possible. We sell enough on a daily basis to cover hosting costs, but and the rest model as much as we can.
That's amazing. So, out of that, the total mining you're doing, how much of that is in the U.S. versus international? You think, me and you were just talking about this. I think a lot of people don't understand all the pieces that go into this. So, can you break down some of those pieces that go into, like, say, hosting? It's not like a regular data center. There's a lot of components involved.
To answer your question, in the U.S., we have, as of end of April, 232 megawatts. We're also in Ethiopia. It's our second largest market, 210 megawatts there. And then we're also our other locations are Finland, Oman, Indonesia, Brazil, and Paraguay. So wide network, which is why we, on the cloud side, guarantee 95% uptime for the cloud mining customers. And we can do that because we're such a distributed network. Even if we lost an entire data center, we would just move that slider from our self-mining hash rate to cloud mining hash rate. In terms of what goes into that, when I say we do more than just cloud mining and self-mining. We actually do miner sales, miner leasing. We host miners. That's a smaller piece of the revenue. We have our own mining pool, BitFuFu pool. We have our own OS, FuFu OS, which overclocking machines. And so really it's a full service, soup to nuts, anything you want to do with Bitcoin. And the cloud side obviously is important to us. That's a unique differentiator. And I like to explain cloud is, aside from just leasing the hash rate, think of it as like mining as a service is kind of a good way, I think, to describe it.
No, that's amazing. So, like, history in mining, when it comes to power, how are you handling power across? Because when you think about it, I mean, global power grid is really not that stable. I saw that a couple of years ago with Canada and the U.S. when they had, New York, and then you hear about it all the time in other countries. But I mean, said, how are you power source, things like that for what you're doing?
Yeah, in Ethiopia, of that 210 megawatts, we own 80 megawatts of that. It's hydropower, as is the hosted sites, all hydro in there. In the U.S., it's a variety of different power sources. It could be hydro, it could be natural gas fired. And when we go in and we look at where we want to expand or add capacity, obviously electricity cost is a key element. And then what's the regulatory environment? What's the stability of the grid that we're going into? And so that's of paramount importance because, again, we run 98% uptime across the entire fleet. Again, we guarantee 95 in the cloud. So making sure that we've got stability in our power supply is obviously of paramount importance to us.
Yeah, so I mean, you're a public company. That's C. The other question I have for you, so, few people have said, and I've seen this from being in it, it's a very capital intensive business. So to continue growing the business, are you strictly doing, are you looking at other segments like AI, things of that nature?
Yeah, we're not doing HPC AI today. Now, of that 566 megawatts that we have, we control or own 164 of that. So we have the site in Ethiopia that's 80 megawatts. We have a site in Oklahoma that's 51 megawatts. And we've got 2 other sites in the U.S. that are combined 33 megawatts. And so one of our really is to go and acquire more capacity than that's owned capacity. So we said we want, by the end of this year, we want to be 650 to 800 megawatts. And by the end of 2026, we want to have added a gigawatt of capacity. So as build-out continues, the more we acquire, we're able to lower our cost basis because the capacity we don't own, we're obviously leasing that capacity for the hosting. And we take out the middleman hosting fee. We're not going to pay that when we own the site. And we can also negotiate lower rates. So, for instance, sites that are in Ethiopia, a little over 3 cents a kilowatt hour. A couple sites in the U.S. that are 4.2 cents, and Oklahoma is a little over 3 cents a kilowatt hour. So, very competitive rates. And when we're looking at expanding, we're looking at 4 cents a kilowatt hour or less to remain so I think the more we can acquire, the better our cost structure becomes. And as far as managing the cap structure, the cloud mining really helps us out, because when we're leasing that capacity, we get paid for that hash rate up front, and the range anywhere from 30 days to 360 days. But we lock that in. So when we sell that contract, we're effectively locking in the price of that hash rate that we're selling it for.
So it's almost like a futures contract.
Yeah, well, I don't use the term futures because that gives up the sort of a securities analysis, but it's not really that. But it's because it's all buying it really on the spot market, right? We're selling it today, and it's priced based on where Bitcoin price is today, where the difficulty rate is today, and where we think Bitcoin price might go going forward. So as a customer, you go in, you say, I want to buy 20 terahash for 60 days, and there's a price per terahash per day, and there's a service fee per day, and that's your cost. And it's all up front. It's fully transparent. That's the point, is that, want to be transparent about everything. I think, when you're cloud mining, I think sometimes it brings up, something that's not quite on the up and up. So these are physical machines and physical locations mining Bitcoin in real time, and you can monitor that on the app, on the desktop. So being transparent about that is key, and that flow from the cloud allows us to take that money and reinvest it in other growth opportunities.
So how did you get into this?
Well, I was with the company about a little over a year, and that I'd sort of done some, on a personal level, a little bit of investing, not enough and not early enough, obviously, but better late than never. And I got a call. The FuFu had gone public March 1st of 2024. I joined the company in May of 2024, and they were looking for someone to come in-house and be in-house, head up the IR efforts for the company. And so it seemed like a really exciting offer. It's a cool space, fun space, great company, on a very healthy balance sheet. We're net cash positive.
Which is very unheard of in a lot of these.
Yeah, I mean, we don't, a lot of debt. And if you take the cash on the balance sheet and the BTC on the balance sheet and net it out against the debt we do have, it's a cash positive. We're net cash. So all those factors kind of combined, and then I looked at the growth profile and the valuation of the stock, grossly undervalued on any metric you want to put up there. And when like for the biggest Bitcoin miner nobody ever heard of, because when I people that say, you're 500 plus megawatts, you're 28 plus exahash, and I haven't heard your name, that's a branding issue, and we're working on getting that word out and getting the name out. And when people start hearing the name and understand the what we do and how we do it, it really revokes. And I think that as that gets more, you're going to see that valuation gap narrow considerably.
No, that's fantastic, and we look forward to riding the juke. If we want more, how do they learn more about FuFu?
Yeah, so the main, which is where our cloud mining and some other information is BitFuFu.com, and the investor relations website is ir.bitfufu.com.
Fantastic, Charles. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks.
You bet.